What I saw was a young, passionate artist with the bravery to speak his heart on an international platform, knowing that a huge amount of the population of the world was watching or was going to watch later. If you think it was boring, if you think it was misguided, if you, I don't know, if you didn't get it, then it wasn't for you and you don't have to worry about it. If you felt like that wasn't the right platform for an artist to speak up, then I would ask you what the proper platform would be. It takes guts and it takes courage to do what that artist did in the face of guaranteed backlash and pushback. I humbly consider myself to be an artist, but I recognize a large amount of cowardice in not always speaking my mind and my heart and the things I want to say out loud, and that is due to fear on my part. In the short that I published earlier today, I quoted two different poets, and I want to get a little more detail on that. 30-ish years ago, a poet stood in front of the world and mocked us, the audience, as wanting only to be spoon-fed entertainment, something that would make us laugh or make us feel or make us, fill the holes in our time. Sitting in front of MTV, sitting in front of the television set that feeds our minds, this young poet named Cobain mocked us by saying, "Here we are, now entertain us." Not give us meat, give us sustenance. No, just entertain us, feed us with the easiest digestible notes and things, and show us flesh. Speak to us of the daring, the things outside of our consciousness, but for God's sake, don't make us think about them. And he obviously carried a lot of his own demons that eventually took him away from us. Last Super Bowl, another poet stood up and told us to turn the television off, told us that the revolution will be televised, and if you can't handle it, turn off the TV. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. I was watching fascinated, and initially the very first thing that struck me was just the poeticness of the imagery and the lighting and the stance that was being taken, and of course the wondering, well, will he sing that song? Will he put those words out there, at his own peril, perhaps? And of course he did, because he has that bravery. I can't imagine sitting backstage and fighting with oneself. Should I? Shouldn't I? And, maybe I'm completely misreading it, but I think he must have had many of those moments of doubt. Father, take this burden away from me type moments. But as I said also in the short, I was born into privilege. I was born into a privilege in a class that I knew I wasn't really in any inherent danger in speaking some of the things that I had to say. I was ostracized from the magic community for some things that I said, and I said them in honesty. And that's fine. I get it. Got to protect the household, got to protect the castle, as it were. And when members literally spit in my face, I understood. I was challenging the holy ground. But doesn't it need to be challenged every now and again? But I didn't take it as far as I could have, and I sometimes call myself a coward for that. This poet stood up and said, here's what's wrong, and you aren't paying close enough attention, and things could be done, and things could be better, and things could be worse. And calling out the criminal behavior of someone else, known criminal behavior. I've watched it over and over again, and I'm still struck by it. But the thing that really pulled my attention as a privileged eldering white male caught my attention when the poet said 40 acres and a mule. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I remember that in school. I remember being taught 40 acres and a mule and how that promise was given and never fulfilled. The white people, my ancestors, were offered 160 acres, and that promise was fulfilled. All you had to go was go and stake it out. Look up the Homestead Act if you don't know what I'm talking about. But when it came to the emancipation and the 40 acres and a mule, that was never handed, given, promise fulfilled. So the man stood in a big arena, a massive arena, and said, 40 acres and a mule. And I don't have the right to comment on it, but here I am, using my privilege. It was powerful and it was moving. And to those, really the entire purpose of this video is to those who are getting on social media and saying how it was the worst Super Bowl halftime ever. I have to ask, was it too dark for you? Was it too dark for you? And if you don't like it, if you didn't care for it, if it wasn't your thing, if it was too boring, if it was too this or that, or why comment at all? Why not simply take the advice of the poet that was on stage and the final words that he had to say in his performance, in his art? The final words were to look into the camera and say to you, if this isn't for you, if you are not getting it, turn the TV off. It's good advice regardless. Rather than being spoon-fed like a child, like an infant, like a toddler, go for the sustenance. Dig deep. Change the world. And if you didn't like his art, make your own. The artist will push back. The artist will show the world the way they see it. We, the artists, are not simply here for your entertainment. Here we are. Now entertain us. Wah, 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 wah. That's all I got to say. Don't like it? Turn the TV off.